Lieutenant Alan Ross rubbed his tired eyes. 8 hours into his shift at the Horizon space station, and the endless stream of data was making his vision blur. The Deep Space Monitoring Station orbited Jupiter silently, its sensors constantly scanning the vast emptiness beyond. Most days brought nothing but cosmic background noise. Today was different. "Captain Green," he called out, his voice cutting through the quiet hum of the command center. "I'm picking up something strange." Captain Noah Green looked up from his tablet. At 42, his face showed the weathered experience of 20 years in space. He walked over to Ross's station with measured steps. "What have you got, Lieutenant?" "A signal, sir. Coming from beyond Neptune's orbit. It's structured. Definitely not natural." Green leaned closer to the screen, his expression unchanged, but his eyes alert. "How long?" "First detected it about 10 minutes ago. It's getting stronger." The captain straightened up. "Alert Dr. Wright. Tell her to bring her translation gear." Dr. Elaine Wright hadn't slept in 36 hours. The signal that Lieutenant Ross discovered had grown stronger with each passing hour. Now, 3 days later, she sat surrounded by screens filled with patterns she was desperately trying to decode. "It's a language," and she told Captain Green, who stood watching her work. "Complex, but definitely a form of communication. And it's coming from something that's moving toward us." "Friendly?" Green asked. Dr. Wright pushed her hair back from her face. "I don't think so. The patterns, they have similarities to ultimatums, warnings. I've seen communication patterns like this before." "You mean it's a threat?" "I can't be certain yet, but..." A new burst of data flooded her screens. "Wait. This is new." Green watched as Wright's fingers flew across her keyboard, her face illuminated by the blue glow of her screens. The room fell silent except for the soft tap of keys. "They're coming," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "And they want us to know it." Commander Olivia Diaz arrived from Earth 2 weeks after the first signal. As the United Earth Defense Force representative, her presence made the situation official. Something was coming and Earth was taking it seriously. "How large?" she asked, looking at the blurry image on the main screen of Horizon's command center. Captain Green pulled up the latest readings. "Massive, at least 2 kilometers in length. Moving at speeds we've never seen before. It slowed as it entered the solar system. Weapons? Unknown, but the energy readings suggest capabilities far beyond our own." Commander Diaz's face remained professional, but her eyes betrayed concern. "And they're headed directly for us?" "They've positioned themselves between Mars and Jupiter," Green confirmed, holding position. "Have they responded to our messages?" Dr. Wright stepped forward. "Yes, just this morning. That's why we called you here." She tapped a few commands into the nearest console, and a strange clicking sound filled the room. "This is their language," Wright explained. "And this..." She pressed another button, and a rough translation appeared on screen. "Humans, your expansion ends. Return to your birth world or be removed." The room fell silent. "They sent more," Wright continued, displaying another message. "They want all outer colonies evacuated, all human presence restricted to Earth and lunar orbit only. They've given us 30 Earth days to comply." "Or what?" Diaz asked. Wright looked at Green, who nodded grimly. "They said, or join the others," who did not listen. No one slept that night. The next morning, as the command crew gathered for an emergency briefing, Lieutenant Ross burst into the room. "Europa," he gasped. They've hit Europa." The screens showed it all. The small mining colony on Jupiter's moon, home to 600 people, was gone. In its place was a smoking crater. The alien vessel hadn't moved from its position. Whatever weapon they had used could strike across vast distances. "A demonstration," Captain Green said quietly. "They're showing us what happens if we don't obey." Commander Diaz's face hardened. "Get me a direct line to Earth Central now." The alien ship finally moved close enough for visual contact 3 days later. The sight stunned everyone on the command deck. The vessel was unlike anything humans had built. It seemed almost alive, with sections that shifted and moved like a massive insect. When the communication screen activated, the creatures they saw matched their ship. The Orcs, as they called themselves, resembled giant praying mantises, with complex exoskeletons and multiple limbs that moved with precise, unsettling grace. Their translator converted their clicking speech into flat, emotionless English. Your time runs. 27 days remain. Show proof of evacuation or face removal. Captain Green stepped forward. The attack on Europa was unprovoked. Those were civilians. The alien's head tilted at an odd angle. Irrelevant. All expansion beyond Birthworld is violation. Europa demonstration was minimal. Full removal uses greater force. We wish to negotiate, Green tried again. Surely we can find a solution that... No negotiation, the alien cut him off. Humans have no standing. You are infestation. B. Grateful containment is offered instead of extinction. 27 days. The communication ended abruptly. They think we're vermin, Dr. Wright explained to the emergency council that had gathered on Horizon. Representatives from Earth's government had arrived, along with military leaders. I've analyzed their language patterns. They see us as pests to be controlled, not as equals. What do we know about their weapons? General Frank Howard asked. He had arrived with Commander Diaz, his uniform crisp despite the long journey from Earth. Captain Green displayed the data they had collected. They can strike with precision across great distances. The Europa colony was wiped out with minimal energy expenditure from their main vessel. It appears to be some kind of directed energy weapon, but it's like nothing we've seen before. And their defenses? Unknown. They haven't had to use any yet. General Howard nodded slowly. Because they don't see us as a threat. Exactly, Commander Diaz agreed. They think we're going to surrender. Are we? Someone asked. The room fell silent. Then President Diana Martinez, who had been quietly listening via secure channel from Earth, spoke up. Tell me something, she said, her voice calm but firm. Do these aliens, these Orcs, have any idea what they're dealing with? Do they know humanity's history? Our capabilities? Captain Green thought about it. Based on their communications, no, Madam President, they see us as primitive, a nuisance. Then they've made a serious mistake, President Martinez said. Humanity doesn't respond well to threats, we never have. General Howard leaned forward. What are you suggesting, Madam President? I'm not suggesting anything yet, General, but I want options, real options. If these aliens want war, I need to know we can give them one they'll never forget. Captain Green and Commander Diaz exchanged glances. For the first time since the alien ship appeared, Green felt something besides dread. It was a dangerous feeling. It was hope. We'll need time, Dr. Wright said. Time to learn more about them, their weaknesses. Then we'll give you time, the President replied. Captain Green, have your people open communications again. Tell these Orcs that we need to discuss their terms. Act scared, act compliant, but keep them talking. And meanwhile, Commander Diaz asked. The President's voice was steel. Meanwhile, we prepare. If they demand war from us, they'll get something far worse. They'll learn why throughout our bloody history humans have survived every threat we've faced. Not because we're stronger or faster, but because when our backs are against the wall, we fight with everything we have. As the meeting continued into the night, plans began to form. On the screens above them, the alien ship loomed, waiting for humanity's surrender. It would be waiting a very long time. Send the message again. Dr. Elaine Wright instructed Lieutenant Ross. Remember to sound afraid. Lieutenant Ross nodded and began the transmission to the Orcs ship. This is Horizon Station. We wish to discuss the terms of evacuation. Please respond. On the main screen, the insect-like face of the alien commander appeared. Its mandibles clicked together before the translation came through. Terms are not negotiable. Show proof of evacuation progress. Captain Green stepped into view. He had practiced this act for days. "We are evacuating the outer colonies as quickly as possible," he said, forcing a slight tremble into his voice. "But our ships can only move so fast, we need more time." The alien's compound eyes seemed to study Green's face. "Time extension denied. 23 days remain." "Please," Green pleaded, hating the sound of weakness in his voice. "The Europa attack has caused panic. People are afraid to board evacuation ships. If you could just—" "Fear is appropriate," the alien interrupted. "Cooperation ensures survival. Resistance ensures extinction. Show progress in 3 Earth days or another demonstration will follow." The transmission cut off. Green's fake expression of fear instantly transformed into cold determination. "Do you think they bought it?" Commander Diaz asked from behind the camera. "For now," Dr. Wright answered. "But they're getting impatient." Captain Green turned to the others. "Then we need to work faster. What's the status of the evacuation?" Commander Diaz pulled up a secure tablet. "Operation False Retreat is proceeding. On schedule. Civilian ships are making visible departures from outer colonies, making sure the aliens can track them. But they're not going to Earth." "Where then?" "The dark side of Saturn. We're establishing a hidden fleet there out of the aliens' sensor range. Meanwhile, the real work is happening on Mars. The underground facilities beneath Olympus Mons on Mars buzzed with activity. What had once been research labs were now weapon factories running day and night." Dr. Simon Bennett wiped sweat from his forehead as he examined the test results. "It works," he said, looking up at General Frank Howard. "The electromagnetic pulse completely disrupts their biotechnology. Their ships seem to be partially organic. The EMP doesn't just damage their systems, it hurts them." General Howard's weathered face showed the first hint of a smile in weeks. "Can we weaponize it?" Dr. Bennett nodded. "Already working on it. We've adapted the design for different delivery methods. Missiles, drones, even handheld devices for boarding parties." "Boarding parties?" Howard raised an eyebrow. "Major Grant's team brought back enough data to suggest it's possible. If we can disable a ship, we might be able to capture it." General Howard considered this. "How soon can you have the weapons ready for deployment?" "First batch is already done. We're producing more every hour." "Good," Howard said, checking his watch. "I have a call with President Martinez in 10 minutes. She'll want to hear this." As the general walked away, Dr. Bennett returned to his work. Around him, hundreds of scientists and engineers worked tirelessly, converting humanity's greatest minds to the single task of survival. In the shadows of the asteroid belt, a small stealth ship drifted silently. Inside, Major William Grant and his team of 6 elite operatives monitored the alien scout ship they had been following for days. "There," Intelligence Officer Lydia Palmer whispered, pointing at her screen. "The sensor readings just changed. They're in sleep mode." Major Grant nodded. "Just like the last 3 nights. Their biological patterns suggest they need rest cycles." He turned to his team. "Gear up. We go in 15 minutes." The boarding operation was the most dangerous mission any of them had ever attempted. Using stealth technology developed in the days since first contact, they approached the alien scout ship undetected. Cutting through the outer hull was surprisingly easy. The organic mechanical hybrid material offered less resistance than expected. Inside, the ship was hot and humid with curved passages that resembled the inside of an insect hive. The team moved silently, collecting samples and scanning everything they could. In the ship's central chamber, they found what they were looking for, the main computer core. "How long?" Grant asked as Palmer connected her device to the alien technology. 4 minutes, she replied, her fingers flying over her handheld computer. "Their encryption is complex but follows patterns similar to insect communication. Dr. Wright's linguistic work gave us the key. When the download completed, they retreated as silently as they had arrived." Back aboard their stealth ship, Palmer began analyzing the data immediately. "Major," she called out, her voice tight with excitement. "You need to see this." Grant looked over her shoulder at the translated alien text. "These are battle records," Palmer explained. "Centuries of them. The Orcs have conquered dozens of worlds, but—" She scrolled through more data. "They've never faced serious resistance. Every species they've encountered either surrendered immediately or fought with primitive weapons. They've never faced anyone who could fight back effectively, Grant realized. Exactly. And there's more. Their battle doctrine shows no concept of defensive warfare. They attack, overwhelm, and move on. They don't know how to respond to ambushes or guerrilla tactics. Major Grant's face broke into a grim smile. Get this data back, to Earth immediately. We just found their weakness. On Earth, factories that had once built civilian products now produced weapons of war. Space docks that had launched exploration vessels now built battleships. For the first time in human history, the nations of Earth worked together with a single purpose: survival. President Diana Martinez addressed the United Earth government from her office in New Geneva. The evacuation deception is working. The Orcs believe we are complying with their demands. This gives us the time we need. How much longer can we maintain this pretense? Asked the representative from Africa. Dr. Wright believes another 10 days at most, President Martinez replied. By then, we must be ready. The screens around her displayed real-time updates from around the solar system. The hidden fleet behind Saturn grew daily. The Mars weapons facilities operated at full capacity. The training of space combat forces proceeded day and night. What about Operation Silent Thunder? Asked the Asian representative. General Howard stepped forward. The operation is now fully planned and ready for execution. When the Orcs call us for final surrender, we'll be ready to launch our counterattack. The risks are enormous, the European representative warned. If we fail, we're no worse off than if we surrender. President Martinez said firmly, but I don't intend to fail. Humanity has faced extinction before, from plague, from world wars, from our own foolishness. Each time we survive because we refuse to accept defeat. She stood up, looking at each representative in turn. I don't ask you to approve this plan without understanding the risks. But know this, the Orcs came here expecting to find a weak, compliant species. They'll leave knowing they made the worst mistake in their history. They demanded war from us. We will give them annihilation. The room fell silent as her words sank in. Then, one by one, the representatives nodded, their agreement. On Horizon Station, Captain Green received the encrypted message from Earth Command. Operation Silent Thunder was approved. The waiting was almost over. Status report, he called out as he entered the command center. The Orcs are growing suspicious, Dr. Wright replied. They've demanded another progress update in 12 hours. And their fleet? Still holding position, but we've detected smaller vessels beginning to move toward the outer colonies. They're going to verify our evacuation claims. Captain Green nodded. Then it's time. Send the coded signal to all human forces. Operation Silent Thunder begins in 48 hours. As the message went out, Green looked at the alien ship on the main screen. They had come to his home and threatened everything he loved. Soon they would learn what happened when you cornered humanity. The countdown to humanity's most important battle had begun. Admiral Lisa Carpenter stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Defender, watching as her fleet arranged itself in formation near Earth's moon. To any observer, especially the Orcs, it looked like Earth's pitiful defense force was preparing for a surrender ceremony. In reality, it was the perfect trap. Status report, she ordered, her voice calm despite the tension that filled the bridge. All ships in position, Admiral, her second-in-command replied. The Orcs flagship is approaching as expected. They'll be within optimal range in 17 minutes. Admiral Carpenter nodded, her gray eyes fixed on the tactical display. 28 ships arranged in a ceremonial pattern that disguised their true combat readiness. The formation had been carefully calculated by Dr. Patricia Nelson, the fleet's expert on alien psychology. The Orcs expect submission, Dr. Nelson had explained during the final briefing. Their culture has no concept of deception and surrender. When weaker species give up, they simply give up. The idea of a trap will not occur to them until it's too late. Now, as the massive alien vessel approached, Admiral Carpenter opened a secure channel. Captain Ellis, report. Far away, hidden in the shadow of Mars, Captain Ryan Ellis of the stealth destroyer Defiance responded. Ready and waiting, Admiral. All 6 stealth ships are in position with weapons hot. The aliens have no idea we're here. Good, Carpenter replied. Maintain radio silence until the signal. Remember your targets. Yes, ma'am. We know exactly where to hit them. The Admiral closed the channel and opened another. Sergeant Reese, is your boarding team ready? On the lower deck of the Defender, Sergeant Kyle Reese checked his team's equipment one final time. The newly designed EMP rifles were untested in actual combat, but the simulations had been promising. Ready, Admiral. Just get us close enough. To board. You'll get your chance, Sergeant. Stand by. The minutes ticked by slowly. On the main view screen, the Comorax flagship grew larger as it approached. Nearly 3 kilometers long, it dwarfed the human vessels. Its organic mechanical surface rippled slightly as it moved, like the shell of a giant insect. They're hailing us, the communications officer announced. Admiral Carpenter straightened her uniform. On screen, the alien commander appeared. Mandibles, clicking in what the humans now recognized as anticipation. The deadline has arrived. The translation came through. You will now submit to containment protocol. Admiral Carpenter put on her best face of defeat. We are prepared to discuss the terms of humanity's confinement to Earth. There are no terms to discuss. You will simply obey. Of course, she replied meekly. We have prepared a formal surrender document. If you would permit a delegation to board your vessel. The alien cut her off. Unnecessary. Your acknowledgement is sufficient. Any deviation from instructions will result in immediate extinction. We understand, Carpenter said, her eyes flicking briefly to the countdown timer on her wrist. 3 minutes remaining. May I ask what will happen to our colonies that have not yet been evacuated? They will be removed, the alien stated without emotion. Resistance is... An alarm sounded on the alien bridge. The commander turned away, speaking rapidly in its clicking language. Now, Admiral Carpenter whispered into her secure comlink. Throughout the solar system, Operation Silent Thunder began. Near Jupiter, 12 civilian transports, supposedly carrying evacuees, suddenly changed course. Their outer hulls fell away, revealing compact military vessels bristling with weapons. They accelerated toward the alien fleet's rearguard. In Earth orbit, Admiral Carpenter's ceremonial fleet broke formation, each ship activating hidden weapon systems and targeting pre-assigned enemy vessels. Behind Mars, Captain Ellis and his squadron of stealth destroyers emerged from hiding, launching specialized EMP missiles aimed at the vital points of the largest alien ships, and from hidden bases on the moon. Hundreds of small fighter craft poured into space, heading directly for the surprised alien fleet. The Comorax commander's face returned to the screen, mandibles spread wide in what humans now recognized as alarm. What is this? You dare to... Admiral Carpenter's demeanor changed instantly. Gone was the submissive, defeated human. In her place stood the cold, determined commander of Earth's greatest fleet. You came to our home and threatened our existence, she said, her voice like ice. You demanded war. We promised annihilation. Now we deliver. She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. All ships, execute Battle Plan Alpha. Target their command vessels first. The first hour of battle exceeded even the most optimistic human projections. The electromagnetic pulse weapons worked perfectly, crippling the largest alien ships and causing visible pain to the Comorax themselves. Their biotechnology, which had seemed so advanced, proved catastrophically vulnerable to humanity's hastily designed weapons. Captain Ellis's stealth squadron struck the alien flagship with precision, their EMP missiles shutting down section after section of the massive vessel. Main target is disabled, he reported to Admiral Carpenter, moving to secondary targets. On the disabled alien flagship, Sergeant Reese and his boarding team cut through the hull and pushed inside. The corridors were dark, emergency lighting, casting eerie shadows. The team moved quickly, following the route mapped out from Major Grant's intelligence mission. Control room should be ahead, Reese told his team through their helmet comms. Remember, aim for their neural clusters, the spot where the head meets the thorax. They encountered surprisingly little resistance. The EMP had affected the Comorrax themselves, leaving many stunned or disoriented. Those that fought were quickly dispatched. In the control center, they found the alien commander, still struggling to comprehend what was happening. When it saw the humans enter, it rose to its full height, nearly 3 meters tall. "Impossible," it clicked, the translation coming through the team's helmet speakers. "You are vermin. You cannot fight." Sergeant Reese raised his weapon. "We're not just fighting. We're winning." Dr. Patricia Nelson watched the battle unfold from her station on Earth. As the expert on Comorrax psychology, she had predicted their likely responses. So far, she had been right on every count. "They're pulling back," she observed, studying the tactical displays. "They're regrouping beyond the orbit of Saturn." General Howard frowned. "Retreating already? That seems too easy." "Not retreating," Dr. Nelson clarified. "Regrouping. This is exactly what I expected. The Comorrax have never faced effective resistance. Their instinct is to pull back, reassess, and return with overwhelming force." She looked up at the general. "They're calling for reinforcements. How long do we have?" "Based on their communications, we've intercepted 3 months at most." General Howard nodded grimly. "Then we have 3 months to prepare for round 2. He turned to a communications officer. "Get me the president." On Horizon Station, Captain Green and Dr. Wright monitored the final stages of the battle. The Semana Station, once just an observation post, had become a crucial command center. "It worked," Dr. Wright said, amazement in her voice. "We actually hurt them." Captain Green nodded. "We did more than hurt them. We showed them that humanity isn't what they thought." He pointed to a message coming in from Earth Command. "And now we need to prepare for what comes next." The message was brief but clear. "First phase successful. Begin phase 2 immediately. They will return." As the remaining alien ships disappeared into the outer solar system, a cheer went up from stations and ships throughout human space. Humanity had won its first battle against the Comorrax, but Captain Green didn't join the celebration. He knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would return, and next time they would come prepared for a real fight. "Send a message to all stations," he told Lieutenant Ross. "The war has just begun. We have 3 months to build the biggest fleet in human history." Dr. Wright looked at him, her eyes showing both fear and determination. "Will it be enough?" "It has to be," Green replied. "Because next time they won't underestimate us. Next time they'll come to exterminate us." As the message went out, Green stared at the stars where the alien ships had disappeared. The Comorrax had learned that humanity would fight. Now they needed to learn that humanity would win no matter the cost. 3 months passed in a blur of frantic activity. Every factory on Earth, Mars, and the Moon worked day and night. Mining operations in the asteroid belt doubled, then tripled output. Scientists worked around the clock, refining the weapons that had proven so effective in the first battle. Captain Daniel Wilson stood on the bridge of the newly constructed battleship Vengeance, watching as space dock workers made final adjustments to the massive vessel. At 40, Wilson had spent half his life in space, but he had never seen anything like the fleet now assembling in Earth orbit. "Impressive, isn't it?" Admiral Joseph Hill said as he joined Wilson at the viewport. At 58, Hill had been appointed the strategic commander of humanity's outer defense perimeter. His weathered face showed the strain of the past 3 months. "Over 300 ships," Wilson replied. 3 months ago, we had barely 30 combat-ready vessels." Admiral Hill nodded. "And we'll need every one of them. Our long-range sensors detected the Comorrax reinforcements entering the solar system yesterday. Their fleet is 5 times larger than the first." Wilson felt his stomach tighten. "Will it be enough, our fleet, I mean?" "It has to be," Hill answered, echoing what had become something of a mantra among Earth's defenders. "Besides, we have a few surprises for them this time." "The Prometheus Protocol?" Hill's expression grew serious. "That's classified, Captain. But yes, Dr. Cole's team has completed their work. The protocol is ready if needed." He handed Wilson a data tablet. "These are your orders. Study them carefully. Your ship will be key to our strategy." Wilson accepted the tablet, feeling the weight of it in his hands. The vengeance will not let humanity down, sir. See that it doesn't, Hill said. We deploy in 12 hours. President Diana Martinez stood before the United Earth government in New Geneva. The massive chamber was silent as she approached the podium. At 63, she carried herself with the dignity and strength that had unified Earth's nations in their darkest hour. Today, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the room and to billions watching the broadcast across the solar system. I speak not just as your president, but as a fellow human being facing the greatest threat our species has ever known. The screens behind her showed images of the approaching Orcs fleet. 3 months ago, we showed these invaders that humanity would not surrender meekly to threats. We fought back and won a great victory. But that was merely the first battle, in what will be a long war. She paused, looking directly into the camera. The enemy returns now with greater numbers, thinking to overwhelm us with sheer force. They believe that we fought only for victory. They are wrong. We fight for something far more important, our very right to exist among the stars. Her voice grew stronger. Let me be clear about our intentions. We do not merely seek to repel this invasion. We intend to ensure that such a threat can never again approach Earth or any human world. The Orcs demanded war from us. We promised them total annihilation. Today, we fulfill that promise. The chamber erupted in applause. When it finally quieted, President Martinez concluded her address. May history remember this as the day humanity secured its place in the galaxy, not through conquest or cruelty, but through the unbreakable determination to survive, to thrive, and to never again face such a threat. For Earth, for all humankind, we fight. The speech, which would later be known as the Preservation Speech, galvanized the entire human population. Across the solar system, people gathered around screens, their fear replaced by resolve. Dr. Rebecca Cole watched President Martinez's speech from her laboratory beneath Olympus Mons on Mars. At 46, she had become the most controversial figure in the scientific community. Her creation, the Prometheus Protocol, was a self-replicating nanite weapon that specifically targeted Orcs biology. Powerful words, Dr. Bennett said, standing beside her. Do you think she'll actually authorize the use of your protocol? Dr. Cole sighed. I hope not. The protocol works exactly as designed. It would eliminate the Orcs as a species. Complete extinction. She looked at the sealed container that held her creation. It's a terrible thing we've built here. A terrible thing for a terrible purpose, Bennett replied. If it's them or us. There's always another way, Cole insisted. That's why I also created this. She opened a drawer and removed a small device. A delivery system that modifies the protocol. Instead of extinction, it renders their biological weapons inert. It gives us leverage without genocide. Bennett studied her face. Does the president know about this option? She does. The final decision will be hers. In the vast emptiness beyond Saturn's orbit, humanity's fleet arranged itself according to Admiral Hill's scattered defense strategy. Using the gas giant's gravity wells, the human ships positioned themselves to force the aliens into predictable attack vectors. Captain Wilson's Vengeance held position near Titan, Saturn's largest moon. His orders were simple but daunting: to wait until the main battle was engaged, then lead a small strike force on what might well be a suicide mission. All systems check, his second-in-command reported. Stealth systems operational. Special. Cargo secured. Wilson nodded, his eyes on the tactical display. The alien fleet was approaching rapidly, their formation suggesting confidence bordering on arrogance. They still think they're facing the primitive species they first encountered, Wilson observed. They haven't learned. They're about to, his weapons officer replied. The battle began with a ferocity that shocked even the most experienced human commanders. The Orcs attacked with overwhelming force, but fell directly into humanity's prepared killing zones. Earth's fleet, though outnumbered, fought with precision and coordination that the aliens couldn't match. Admiral Carpenter's main battle group engaged the alien center, while Captain Ellis's stealth squadron struck from multiple angles, confusing the Comoric's command structure. The electromagnetic weapons again proved devastatingly effective, but the aliens had developed partial countermeasures. For 6 hours, the battle raged across the outer solar system. Human casualties mounted as ship after ship was lost. But the aliens paid dearly for every advance. When the signal finally came, Captain Wilson knew the moment had arrived. "Strike team, prepare for jump," he ordered. "Activate stealth systems and plot course for the designated coordinates." The Vengeance and 5 escort ships broke away from the main battle, accelerating to maximum speed. Using the confusion of combat as cover, they slipped past the alien fleet and headed toward open space. "Sir," the navigator called out, "the coordinates will take us beyond the solar system." "That's not where the battle is." "No," Wilson agreed. "It's not. Our mission isn't to fight this battle. It's to end the war." Dr. Patricia Nelson had predicted the Comoric's response perfectly. When faced with effective resistance, they escalated ruthlessly. As the battle entered its 10th hour, the alien commander deployed planet-killer weapons aimed at Mars. Only the sacrifice of an entire human squadron prevented the attack. In her command center, President Martinez received the reports with growing concern. Earth was holding its own, but barely. The time had come for the final decision. "Get me Captain Wilson," she ordered. When Wilson's face appeared on her screen, she asked simply, "Status?" "We've broken through, Madam President," he reported. "Using the captured Comoric scout ship and the data from Major Grant's mission, we've plotted a course to their homeworld. We'll arrive in 14 days. And the package? Secure. Dr. Cole's modified protocol is ready." President Martinez closed her eyes briefly. "The modification is crucial, Captain. We will not be the species that commits genocide, even to save ourselves. Use the protocol to neutralize their ability to wage war, not to exterminate them." "Understood, Madam President." "Good luck, Captain. The fate of humanity rests with you, now." 14 days later, as the battle for the solar system reached a devastating stalemate, Captain Wilson's small fleet approached the Comoric's homeworld. Using the captured alien technology, they bypassed the planet's defenses. "Deploy the protocol," Wilson ordered. The modified nanite weapon was released into the planet's atmosphere, spreading rapidly. Within hours, it had reached every corner of the Comoric's world. Wilson opened a channel to Earth light years away. "Prometheus protocol deployed successfully. Message follows. Remember why we did this." Then he waited. Soon, the effects became visible. Across the planet, Comoric's weapons and war machines began to fail. Their biotechnology collapsed without harming the aliens themselves. When the Comoric's fleet in the solar system received the news, they faced an impossible choice: continue a war they could no longer win, or retreat to save what remained of their civilization. Slowly, the massive alien ships began to withdraw. 1 year later, Dr. Elaine Wright sat across from a Comoric's representative in a neutral space station at the edge of the solar system. The peace talks had been difficult, but progress was being made. "Your species surprised us," the alien admitted through the translator. "No species has ever fought back so effectively." Dr. Wright nodded. "We weren't fighting for victory," she explained. "We were fighting for survival. You could have destroyed us completely, why didn't you?" She thought of Captain Wilson's final message before his ship was lost returning from the Comoric's homeworld.